What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another stimulus update. So according to the Congressional Budget Office, the United States was behind by roughly $600 billion from their pre-pandemic levels. But they are saying that some states are currently operating at a surplus, even though some states are not doing so well. They do say that there's many Americans that are better off today than they were 1 year ago. So it is because of this that many economists worry that this $1.9 trillion stimulus package is actually too much, and it will overheat the economy, leading to inflation. Now that has a lot of people worried. Even today, Senator Joe Manchin, the senator out of West Virginia that held up stimulus talks for over 8 hours yesterday, well, he was asked whether or not he believes that this $1.9 trillion stimulus package will lead to inflation. And he said, well, I sure hope not. So he didn't actually say no. He didn't actually say yes. He just said, well, I hope not. That's not what we need to hear. But many economists right now, they're predicting that we will see the effects of this $1.9 trillion stimulus package. We will see the effects of this bill within the next couple of months. Now, they also say that even before all this money gets rolled out, all of this $1.9 trillion gets rolled out into the economy, we will see the stock market and the economy price in the expectations for inflation. What we saw today, now I just did a little bit of checking just to give you guys an idea. What we already have seen, the stock market completely sell off because there are a lot of investors worried that we are going to see inflation sooner rather than later. I do think we will see inflation at some point. I think it's going to happen when many people are predicting that we're not going to see it, and all of a sudden, boom, there it is. But I do think that the stock market sell-off was a little premature. What I can tell you is that there are businesses that are already raising prices in order to make up for their worry of increased taxes. This is where it's going to become a big issue. If President Biden starts to talk about a tax increase for large corporations, the problem is, how do you get through a pandemic? How do you provide for your employees? You'll give them a better wage, do all this stuff, and then also you got to worry about increased taxes. That becomes a big issue. Some experts say that no, President Biden will not increase taxes. However, based on everything that we've been seeing, the Biden administration would most likely increase taxes, possibly at the end of 2021. But what we're hearing from businesses is they do not want to wait until the end or after everything is already done. They haven't been able to increase prices. They haven't been able to lay off employees, to cut costs or things like that. But then all of a sudden, boom, there it is, a bill to increase their taxes for the year. So they're already pricing this in, which becomes another issue. And while all of this is happening, we have the Biden administration talking about different ways to educate the country as to what is actually available to them. Here's what we're hearing. And let me just give you an example. If you didn't know that rental assistance was available to you, would you have known that? Let me just point this out. If you didn't watch this channel, if you didn't watch somebody else's YouTube channel, you didn't see that there's rental assistance out there through the mainstream media, would you have ever known it was available to you? Probably not, because how would you? How could you? Congress was not putting out, flyers. They weren't posting stuff all over the internet through Twitter about, hey, go get your rental assistance for anybody in the Los Angeles area. Go get your rental assistance if you're struggling. People in New York, go get your rental assistance. People in Houston, hey, there's rental assistance for you. No, they weren't posting about that. So, and again, what if you own your own business? If you didn't watch this channel or another channel or watch it on mainstream media, would you have ever known there is free loans out there that you can get money for your business that you do not even have to pay back? Would you have known that? Chances are no. You would have never have known this. And this is what many experts are saying. They are saying that during 2009, when former President Barack Obama was in office, he passed a bill, along with, current President Biden, who was vice president at that time. They passed a bill for $800 billion. This was a stimulus package to help through this financial crisis in 2008 and 2009. Well, this $800 billion was not enough. and it made the economy take about 10 years to get back to where they once were. Well, the issue that many people are saying is that many Americans had no clue what was even in the stimulus package, how they could get some of the relief, the funds. I think there was like $250 stimulus checks at that time, which was very little. That was more of a slap in the face than the $600 we received in December, but it was something. So what they're saying right now is this time around, the Biden administration is planning on changing that. What the Biden administration wants to do is they want to put in more effort to educate the public about what is in this package for them and how they can go about getting it. Right now, and that's what I'm saying, is if you didn't know there's money for rental assistance, there's stuff out there for nutrition assistance. And I get this all the time from people here on the channel that say, how do you get SNAP benefits? I've never heard of this. Well, SNAP benefits are simply food stamps. It's their new kind of way of saying this, is just SNAP benefits. Well, a lot of people didn't know about that. A lot of people didn't know about the pandemic EBT for children that were, in school or even preschool age children that could get a couple $100 just to help feed their child. A lot of people didn't know about this. And it's not because the money wasn't there for them to get. It's because the education was not there from the government. They're pretty much saying, here's $10 billion for this fund, but we're not going to tell you how to go and get it. Same thing like with grants that the U.S. government provides. They put all this money in there for grants, which is technically free money. They put all this money in there for grants to provide for, build, low-income housing. Okay, great. Well, how do I go and get that? A lot of people don't know this. And this is where it becomes an issue. You have to educate the American people, the public, on what's there for them and how they can go and get it. Well, this is essentially what the Biden administration wants to do. So we'll see if that actually happens. One Republican stated that this is necessary and educating the public is a must. I personally believe it is. I think that this is where the government really fails. They really fail on this point because they never tell you how to go and get it. They never tell you where to go, what you need to do, the process. But then you will find a little back door, a little loophole. You find yourself in this website and oh, there it is. Well, after 10 months of searching, there you go. I have helped people over the past year get rental assistance. And some, it took them about 10 months. 10 months to figure this out because they didn't know where they could go. They kept on typing in their city. Typed in Tulsa, right? Tulsa. Okay, I want to get my, rental assistance in Tulsa. Well, if Tulsa wasn't providing rental assistance and only the county was, well, if you didn't type in the county, and I don't know the county, it could be Tulsa County, I have no idea. But if you didn't type in the county or the state, then you wouldn't have got any rental assistance. Well, this is exactly what happened. I'm just using Tulsa as an example, but this is what somebody commented a few weeks ago, and I helped them get rental assistance simply because they didn't know exactly what to do. And I'm more than happy to help. So if you have any questions, please ask your questions down in the comment section below, and I'll try to help you out the best I can. But what they're saying right now is that we need to educate the public not only on the good parts of this bill and how they can go and get it, but one Republican is saying that we need to educate the public on the bad parts as well. Now, what they're saying is this is something that a lot of taxpayers don't realize is happening, that when Congress goes and spends money, they are spending taxpayer dollars for the future. Well, what a lot of people don't realize, and this is something that this Republican pointed out, that in this bill, that taxpayers will be tasked with $86 billion in funding to bail out failing pension funds that were failing long before this pandemic. Well, he also states that bailing out airlines for a few more months when health experts warn us, do not fly, do not travel, it's unsafe. But yet, Congress comes in, bails out airlines so that they can bring their employees back to work for what? It just doesn't make sense to him. Why would we bring back airline employees to work when the health experts are telling us, don't travel, don't fly, don't get in congregated spaces like an airplane? Well, it just doesn't make sense. But he did say educating the public is a very important thing to do, and it should be at the utmost importance for the government. But we will see. Tomorrow, the House will take up the first part of advancing this $1.9 trillion stimulus package. We already went through the House once. They advanced it, a little bit further. Then it got kicked over to the Senate. The Senate advanced it a little bit, and then they took a giant step back, and then they finally advanced it, and it passed through the Senate. Now it's going to go back to the House tomorrow. Steny Hoyer said they will do the initial vote, and the vote that happens tomorrow is a vote to pretty much let them vote on the passing of this bill. I know. This is just the way Congress works. The only reason why this vote would not pass at this point, honestly, and just looking over everything that I've done over the past couple of days, and even over the past 24 hours, right now what we're seeing is that House Democrats, the only reason why they would not pass this is because they want to kind of tweak or rework a section of the Senate's bill. Now, whether or not they read this entire bill or not, and then go and vote on this, my guess is they won't do that, but they will most likely vote on it. It will most likely pass. All indications at this point have it passing. My guess is they could toss around the idea of reworking some sections, but if they do rework any section, the issue is it has to go back to the Senate to pass the Senate as well. The exact same bill, exactly how it is, has to pass the House and the Senate, and then it can go to President Biden's desk for a signature. So if any modifications are made on this bill in the House, it will have to go back to the Senate. And right now, no Democrat wants this to go back to the Senate because that is where bills pretty much go and die. So that's not what they want. What I can tell you right now is Democratic leaders in the House, they do expect a vote on the passing of the stimulus bill on Tuesday. So this means they expect it to pass tomorrow as well. This would most likely start tomorrow afternoon. Now, you don't have to go and watch this. You don't have to go and watch the House in session or even the Senate. There's no point to even watch the Senate right now. But I will update you when we figure out or not whether this passes. And at the same time, we are seeing Democrats push for other legislation. We saw this yesterday as well. As soon as the $1.9 trillion stimulus package was passed, then we had Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders also propose a new bill called the wealth tax. Now, this is essentially where they would charge wealthy individuals with I think like $50 billion or above a 2% tax on their wealth. Whether or not this passes, my guess is it probably will, or it would have a very good chance of passing. Republicans obviously don't want this, but Democrats do. We will see what happens there. Bernie Sanders is also working on the additional bill for the $15 minimum wage, but many expect this would not be proposed at $15. It would need to be a compromise, especially to get this passed under a normal bill. This would not be passed under a budget reconciliation. If it were able to do that, they would have thrown it in with the $1.9 trillion stimulus package, but the Senate parliamentarians said no, it didn't meet the rules of the Senate. And we also know that progressives in the House want to put together a bill that includes a monthly stimulus check. This is also something that is supported by Senator Bernie Sanders as well. And what I can tell you is this would most likely be included with President Biden's Build Back Better plan that is already in discussions that some are saying we will most likely hear more about within the coming weeks. We do know that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren do want to pass a bill that provides student loan forgiveness. However, and I addressed this earlier on this morning as well, the addition of the student loan forgiveness tax-free provision in the American Rescue Plan, this actually leaves the door open for they don't actually have to pass a bill that includes this. All they have to do is talk President Biden into signing an executive order that includes a student loan forgiveness provision. If this happens, then students will pretty much be given $10,000 to, okay, you have no student debt, or we're going to pay off at least $10,000 of your student debt. If this happens, they also don't have that tax penalty for what many would say would be some type of income because it's money that is forgiven or a debt that is forgiven. Now, we haven't heard much about Social Security. Okay, we just haven't heard much about it. My guess is we should hear more about it within probably this month, or at least that's what I'm hoping for. We also haven't heard a lot from Republicans either. Many experts right now say this is because they would be wasting their time proposing something that would never pass. Right now, Republicans at this point need to simply wait for Democrats to propose a bill, and then they can come in and modify it to make it somewhat bipartisan. That's what we're hearing. Otherwise, these experts say Democrats would most likely not entertain any of the Republican ideas. Even though President Biden has stated that he wants a bipartisan Congress, he wants to see bipartisan bills, and he wants bipartisanship and unity within Congress and our government, right now it seems like Democrats just don't care. And I can understand why. When Democrats didn't hold the majority and they were in the minority, when former President Donald Trump was in office, Mitch McConnell was the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell let almost every single bill hit the Senate and die. Well, right now, Democrats, they were very upset with Mitch McConnell. They could do absolutely nothing about it. So pretty much what people are talking about right now is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is trying to pretty much play Mitch McConnell's game in a roundabout way, and he is going to pretty much push through anything and everything that Democrats want and not ever listen to Mitch McConnell and the Republican side. So we will see how this bipartisanship and unity actually works when we talk about the President Biden's Build Back Better infrastructure bill as well. Right now, many people are curious about how this relief will roll out. What we know is that Republicans worry that Democrats are just throwing money away. But Democrats, at least some, worry that this much money going out this quickly could be a recipe for more fraud. Now, I talk about this every once in a while. We get a lot of, I personally get some calls as well, but we hear a lot of stories about people are being defrauded out of their Social Security check. People are being scammed out of their stimulus checks. Mailboxes are being just broken into, hoping that there's either a IRS refund check or a stimulus check or even a prepaid debit card sitting in the mailbox. We have seen a lot of this. Well, they're expecting we will see even more fraud with a $1,400 stimulus check. Well, that's not great news, but that is currently what we are seeing. What I can tell you is that millions and millions of people are relying on these $1,400 stimulus checks. If we start to see scams increase, which I know we will see more fraud because of this. I guarantee it. We will also see more scams and fraud because of the $300 per week in unemployment benefits. I personally know of 3 people that had a job, had a very steady job, and their employer had to ask them why you are applying for unemployment benefits, why you have been receiving unemployment benefits for months. And they had no clue. Well, they weren't. They were scammed. People used their identity, their social security number, their employer, and they were getting their money, okay, their $300 for the past, I don't know how many weeks. This is something that we are going to continue to see. Just be aware of that. Make sure, even ask your employer, because they can tell you, hey, I'm not on an unemployment list, am I? Because a lot of employers are saying, you need to check this. Call the state. Just call the state and figure it out. And they'll tell you, yeah, you applied, but you weren't actually approved. If that's the case, just make sure you're not being scammed. Because even though the state would not require you to pay back that money, or in most cases they wouldn't, okay, because you're scammed, the problem is a lot of people aren't seeing this until the end of the year, which is happening right now. They're getting a letter from the state saying, hey, we paid you this much money, this is how much you owe in taxes. That's not good. Also, what we know is the American people are relying on the additional rental assistance and nutrition assistance. They are hoping that this child tax credit does come as a monthly payment starting in July, but we'll find out more as that date gets a little bit closer. And millions of people will be happy to see that their unemployment income won't be taxed for the year 2020. This is a big one, up to $10,000, and as long as you made under $150,000, which I think the majority of people on unemployment probably did. But here's the big thing: if you filed your income tax already, okay, you already filed for 2020, you will have to go and file an amended tax return in order to get the funds from this tax forgiveness. But here's what I just want to say. First off, the bill has passed through the Senate. It's not yet passed through the House. It hasn't even been signed by President Biden, so it is not law. When I say this, I want to be 100% clear. If you go and file an amended tax return at this time, you wouldn't get any money for the funds that for the income tax that you paid on your unemployment income. you wouldn't receive any funds from this because it hasn't been signed into law. I don't know exactly when they're going to implement this, but again, it has to be signed into law first, and then they will roll out the new system. That will most likely take some time. So, as of right now, this is what we know, but as always, as I know more, I promise I'll share more. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.